have 7 minutes. Jerry Morgan is his evaluator, and if Jerry will tell us what his.
Yes, I will, Madam Postmaster. Lee's objectives are to select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand his speech. 2, to make your message clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message. Use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to another, and create a strong opening and conclusion. Timing is 5 to 7 minutes.
Tonight you are all members of the number 1 Battalion 33rd Cavalry. You have just returned from combat duty in Afghanistan. Lee is a member of the 1 Battalion 33rd Armor Reunion. He is presenting an honorary Tanker's Boot, the commander of the 133rd Cavalry. The commander, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Lutsky, is an armor officer. Lee will give the history of the boot as he awards it. The Tanker, Lee Ruff, the Tanker Boot, Lee Ruff.
Good evening and welcome to our reunion, all you present members of the 33rd Cav. I'm proud of you guys for serving your country and giving back. I know it was a tough year over there in Afghanistan. Your colonel, as you know, is not a cavalry officer, he's an armor officer, which means he's a tanker. Now all tankers love one thing. They'd rather ride somewhere than walk. Now I know all you Cav guys got to walk a lot in Afghanistan, but the colonel would really like to be riding on his tank. And if you're a tanker, you need to have an official tanker's boot. Now, all you Cav guys go, ooh, ah, oh. Now, we all know that those tanks make loud noises with those big guns. And this boot is special. This boot was worn by a grizzly old sergeant of 20 years old in the Fulda Gap in Germany to keep those pesky Russians away from us. And he did his job. Now when he arrived in Germany in January of '68, he was just a smiling, freckled-faced kid, and that became his nickname, the Kid. Now the Kid became the battalion commander's tank driver. Now every year, as you know, you have to qualify. In a Cav unit, it's rifles and machine guns. In tanks, it's a crew has to qualify their tank just like a rifle. The first year, the colonel just barely qualified because he wasn't much of a tanker, that colonel. But your colonel, Steve Lutsky, is a tanker. As he grew up and went on, he got assigned away from headquarters company into Alpha Company. And he became part of the platoon that I knew. Now this grizzly old sergeant's name was Gerald B. Curley. The Ruskies feared him. And he took this boot to the wonderful winter location of Wild Flickin'. Doesn't that sound interesting? Wild Flickin', way up in the mountains with ski lodges. And he got to freeze everything he owned off except for his feet because he had these on. The next year, this grizzly old sergeant of 20 was a gunner on a tank, and he went downrange and qualified. And because he did so well, the company commander decided, Sergeant Curley, you can stay here at Grafenbeer. What a wonderful, wonderful vacation spot in Germany. No, it just has all these elements in it. Mud, dust, trees, rain, snow. It's just a wonderful place. And you get to be the AI on those tanks as they go down range and qualify themselves. He is that grizzly old guy that would either follow you, which means you didn't get to qualify, or you qualified, or in some cases, you did so well you distinguished. Sergeant Curley was a tough old guy. Those crews had a tough time qualifying under him. The next year, Sergeant Curley got to command a tank downrange. And when he took that tank downrange with his gunner Clyde, now you have to remember that Clyde was in the new Army, and there was a thing that used to go around. What was that stuff? Marijuana. Ah, that was it, marijuana. And Clyde couldn't hit the side of a barn with a tank unless he was loaded. So Sergeant Curley had to make sure that Clyde was in the right place at the right time to fire that tank. They distinguished that year. As a matter of fact, they had the highest score in the whole battalion. This boot has been to a lot of places. Hornsfeld, Nevada. Hornsfeld is a wonderful place. Oh, that's where the old German army used to train. Oh, it's beautiful. All these old towns from World War I are all destroyed all over there. And there's grasses everywhere, and it's just hotter than you know where. And there are bugs everywhere. There are no bugs in this boot. He took them all out when he got back from Hornsfeld. So you know, Colonel, this boot has a lot of history. And I want you to make sure when we mount it on the plaque, as you reach for those stars, and you know what I'm talking about, those stars, because we know you're going to become a general someday. And that is the story of this boot. Congratulations, Colonel Lutsky.